Hello everybody, welcome to another video. Today I'm doing an updated drawing tutorial. I'll have pretty much everything you need to know for drawing dragons. So let's just get started. We're using a lot of circles today, people. So up here in this corner, I am going to draw the head. So you've got circle. Okay, you got a circle here. Always remember to check your layers if you're doing this digitally. You don't want to do the line art and the sketches on the same layer. So I always turn down the opacity to make sure, and I know that I'm using the right one. So last time I did this, if you watched it, you saw that I went all the way out here with the forehead. Don't do that, okay? That was a bad choice that I did there. Sorry if you've already gotten used to it. You want to try and keep it like to the circle. Then you just draw a rectangle kind of like coming out of it. The horns of the dragon should be about the same size as the entire head. So like you've got one, and those are about the same size of distance in between those. So that's about the size that they should be. You can change it if you want, but that's just the general go-to of what I do. Make the jaw of it, give them about here where the circle ends is where the mouth should probably end too, so that, and then just draw an eye in the middle. So, gonna turn down the opacity and trace over it. You can give it more detail if you want. So like I gave him a scar and that kind of thing. The next part you would want to work on is the neck. This part is pretty easy. It's self-explanatory. It's really just two lines that are, it should start around here. You know, like a little neck thing. And then just kind of go like whoop. That's a bit too much, but you know, it might go like a little back and forth, you know. You've got your bottom of the neck and then the top of it. Can't forget his ear. Some people draw the ears like kind of like I did here. And some people just do like a little hole in his head where the ear should go. I prefer this kind, but that's up to you really. It's your art. And then by the time you're done with that, it might end up looking something like this. We're gonna have an entire full body dragon drawn by the end of this. And as you know, or at least you might know, other than Chinese dragons or whatever, they're not just like snakes. They have legs and stuff. They don't just go. They don't just go like that. So, what we're gonna do I'm just gonna undo this. That's faster. There we go. What we're gonna do is, we're gonna practice adding legs. So over here, I'm gonna go ahead and draw a quick, simple head and neck just to get us started. They're not gonna look as good as the previous ones. The body should be about this big, and there should be an equal-sized circle over here where the hips are. The tail should be about as long as the rest of the body, so about maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit shorter, you know. There's lots of kinds of tails that you can draw. I prefer to make it about this long. And here's the fun part, you know, you gotta draw the limbs and stuff. So, draw circles and going kind of like this. We're not gonna draw the wings on quite yet, so I'll focus on a back leg for now. You've got something like this. It kind of looks like a lightning bolt, you know. It won't look quite as lightning bolt-y when we're done with it, but for right now we've got some lightning bolt legs going on here. And then add some triangles on the bottom. This is where the feet are gonna be. Trust me, it'll look better soon. If you want, you can go ahead and erase this part. It's not very important. These shapes are just to kind of help you get down how the legs are gonna look before you actually draw them. This next one is a bit easier. It's just one big triangle and then a small one at the bottom. You don't need to worry about lightning bolts defying it. This dragon looks kind of scared of something, like, you know, when you've got like a fluffy cat or something. I'm not going to draw it because that'd take up time. This is supposed to be a tutorial. Give him an eyeball. So then you can smooth up the details and stuff. So at the end, not counting the wings, which I did not draw here, it will look something like what is about to show up on your screen. Right about. We'll focus on the toes later, so don't worry about that. We're just working on the leg shape right now. Right now it looks kind of like a horse leg, but don't worry about it. That's gonna get fixed. Okay. Right now it looks like a dinosaur with horse legs, but don't worry about it. That'll be fixed. Yeah. So I'm just gonna Alright, we've got our basic wingless dragon here. It doesn't have toes, but that's okay. That's what we're working on now. So, let's get the toes down. They look the same on both, pretty much, except for one of them has the fourth toe closer to the bottom than the others. The back legs have it. The front legs have the 4th/5th, if you want it to be kind of like a person, right here, just right above where the rest are. It's just boop, 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 like that, okay. But the back legs would have it a little bit more like boop, 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 like that. If you want it to also be down here, that works instead of up here, but having both just makes it look weird, so choose one or the other. I usually just have them both be down. But yeah, for this tutorial that's what I'm gonna do, but it's practically the same on both. So draw 3 circles. I know, lots of those today. Where you want the toes to be. You can add a 4th like over here in the back if you want. I don't like having 4th toes, but whatever. You could draw where you want the claws to go. If you don't, that's fine. And then put another one up here. And those are your toes. So let me... As you know, in real life, your finger/toenails are not just spiky bits of flesh coming off of your hands, so I would recommend making it so that the claws are like obviously have a line separating them from the rest of the claw. That way it doesn't look like just a sharp bit of skin coming off, because that'd be really weird. So yeah, make sure to not do that. And it should look something like this. So now that we've got this going on, we should talk about wings. Wings are something. I've gotten them down pretty good, but I don't add like the lines where it's like I don't really do that. I just do that kind of thing. They don't have the fingers or whatever, because that's practically what they are, separating them. So let's do that now. You've got your dragon, which I'm not gonna draw. I've got the I'm not on the sketching layer. See, that's what I'm talking about. You gotta be on the right layer. I've got the arm here, so for not only for scale, but also just to, because this is pretty much where it's attached, is right here. This is like a second shoulder that's coming up off of the arm here. That's where the wing is gonna be. So it goes back like this, and then forward like this. Then there's like, you know how we practice claws, there's one of those kind of like right there. You can draw very big wings. As you can see, that's a big wing. Because a dragon, as you can imagine, is huge and very heavy, you know. So wings like tiny little wings like you might see in cartoons or whatever, like this would not work. It doesn't matter how fast they're beating those little wings of theirs, that's not gonna work. So, a way I do it is either I draw very big wings, or you could just completely ignore physics and have it be whatever size of wings you want them to have. Because it's art and you can do that. So, tutorialing. They should be kinda like hands coming off. You've got back and forth thing and a little like claw here. Then you go out like this. Swoop in again, and if you want, you can do it a third time. You can change the size and shape of the swoops. You know, draw the rest of the dragon, such and such. There are multiple ways of connecting the wings. I do it kind of like this, where it's like connected to the side here. But there are also people that only connect it, because this is how I used to do it, is I would do something like this. So here's the arm, you got your wing here, and it's only connected to the arm like that, and then you've just got the rest of the dragon going like this. But I feel like that wouldn't work very well in real life. It looks like this here could not support this big thing. But I don't know. You can do whatever. It's your art. It doesn't have to be realistic or anything. Posing the dragons. So drawing the head of the dragon and that kind of thing from different angles can be difficult. I still haven't gotten down like facing front and that kind of thing. But from what I know so far, you can just draw like the where you want the horns to be is a good so draw your circle, and you can look at your old like over here. So you've got your rectangle coming off here. So this is the size that I'm gonna have it be. So do that. Try and imagine it in your head, and if you have trouble doing that, because I know there are people who have a hard time imagining things in their heads, just tweak it until you get something good, because that's kind of what I have to do, because nobody does it perfectly, especially not on the first try. There's not really a perfect way of doing this. So like a 3/4 kind of thing would look kind of like this. You've got your one nostril. You might have an angled one over here. If you want, you could put an eyeball over in this general area. I mean, it wouldn't be sticking out from the side like that, but, you know. And then do that. I can't really help you with the front-facing ones, but I can try. Here's what I know. So you got your thing. This is the size of this. You got your forehead here around eyes, horns, neck. This might be a little smaller, but you see what I mean. I'm not the best at the front-facing ones quite yet. But you know, practice, practice, practice. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes familiar. That's something I learned while I was in band class at school, which sadly I am quitting, but I don't know. It was a bit too much for me. But anyway, like I said, practice does not make perfect, it makes familiar. So if you become familiar with drawing things like dragons and hands and talons and that kind of thing, you'll become familiar with it, and it will be much easier to do things like this. So like, this took me less than 20 minutes to do. So eventually you will become to the point where something like this can be done. And I think that's pretty great. So, anyway. I'm going to now draw in the corner over here a quick, like, sketch or whatever to show you kinda what a finished dragon might look like. If you don't want to see this, you can just skip to the end of the video and I'll give you 1 or 2 more tips maybe. But yeah, I think watching this might help you a bit, so. Anyway, enjoy this little segment. Kind of hiding the toes there, because even though I can draw them, sometimes I really just don't feel like it. Which is always another option, just hide the toes. Didn't actually realize I was hiding the toes until I had already drawn the sketch, and then I was like, oh, just realized I didn't have to draw a single toe during that. Talking a lot about toes. Maybe I should stop talking about toes. That's kind of weird to talk a whole bunch about toes like that. I should really stop saying the word toes, shouldn't I? Toe, toe, toe. Sorry. It's probably really awkward. I'll stop now for real. It's okay to color outside of the lines a little bit, because you can always just fix it. But try not to forget that you color outside the lines and then just not fix it, because that could lead to some problems, because you could end up, especially if you draw, if you're planning on drawing professionally, like as your job or something, or at least just earning money off of it a little bit, because I don't sell my art yet, but I actually have been making commissions for people lately. Like, oh, I have a dragon OC that I want you to draw. Oh, okay, I can do that. Okay, it has been drawn. Lucky for you, I don't charge money. I mean, I tell them beforehand that I don't charge money, but storytelling. Probably really awkward. I'm just sitting here drawing a dragon, and you're just like, oh, be done already, and I'm just like, no. The sun is a deadly laser. Sorry. Okay, shading. Shading is a thing. Here's a little art tip that I was talking about earlier. You know what? Shading. Don't just do this. Don't just do what I'm doing here and make it darker shade of whatever it was and just make it solid, just random. Don't just do this, okay? So, I have, it doesn't have to be this brush, but it does make things a lot easier. A trick I use is I use this brush. It's weird. It's kind of like a very specific fill tool type of thing that you can use. I do this. I fill in the parts with a darker color than what the thing is, like much darker, sometimes even black. And then I just go around, shade in the parts that I want to, adding little shaded in bits on the wings can make it look cooler. So, we're pretty much done with this. Once I get done with this, because we are not leaving it like this. That would end up looking really weird to just leave it this way. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to turn down the opacity on my shading layer until it looks about how I want it to be. I think here is good. Maybe, you know what, yeah, here is good. Then you go find like a smearing tool, turn it down so that you can control where the smearing is happening and that kind of thing, and then just blur your shadows. And you don't have to do this, but I think it makes it look a little nicer. It depends on what level of realism and that kind of thing you're drawing with. Next time I'm gonna do a tutorial. What should I do a tutorial on? I think eyes. I'm gonna do a tutorial on eyes. Not specifically dragon eyes, just eyes in general. In this case, I think blending it did make it look a little worse. At least in most parts. I think the wings ended up looking pretty good, but, oops. There we go. I accidentally pressed a button. Alright, yeah, that brought it back. I like this. I think this is a good level of shading and stuff. So yeah, this is about what this would be like. So I'll leave it at this. Thank you for watching, and I hope this helped you all be able to draw dragons better. So subscribe.